What motivated me to get into politics was when we joined the exchange rate mechanism, when we pegged sterling against the Deutschmark back in 1990. I thought it was utter lunacy to do so, and within 2 years we had one of the worst self-inflicted recessions in this country because we were totally out of kilter with our interest rates. They were roughly double where they should have been. So that motivated me to get involved in politics, and I'm in politics above all because I believe that the best people to govern Britain are the British people themselves, and it's wholly unacceptable for EU institutions to now make 75% of our laws every year. We want that power back in this country. Every one of you in this room pays a 10% surcharge on your electricity bill. Incidentally, by 2020, that will be a 20% surcharge with all the planned future increases. So you're paying a 10% surcharge so that people like David Cameron's father-in-law can be paid £1,000 a day for just having wind turbines on his land. That is the level of utter stupidity that we've reached with wind energy in this country. The poorest are actually giving money to the richest in our society for an energy that is not reliable because the wind doesn't always blow. We love Europe, but we hate the European Union. All right, it's very simple. I think people know what our position is when it comes to immigration. You know, we're not against immigration, but we believe the British government should be able to control both the quantity and the quality of those that come into this country. These things are well known and understood.
Now we have the situation in Ireland. Now I know that the stupidity and greed of Irish politicians has a lot to do with this. They should never ever have joined the euro. They suffered with low interest rates, a false boom and a massive bust. But look at your response to them. What they're being told, as their government's collapsing, is that it would be inappropriate for them to have a general election. In fact, Commissioner Wren here said they had to agree their budget first before they'd be allowed to have a general election. Just who the hell do you think you people are? You are very, very dangerous people indeed.
Meant by green taxes. So could you tell us which ones you'll scrap?
Yes, we're talking about the surcharges that we're all paying, the renewable obligation certificate, if you want to get very detailed about it. And that's what we're all paying, and we're doing it through our household bills. And we currently have, with our energy policy, a sort of modern-day version of the Corn Laws, really,
sure,
where everybody is paying currently a 10% surcharge, but it'll be 20% by 2020. And what does that money go to? It goes to subsidise things like wind energy to make rich landowners even richer.
But that's only one green tax. What about all the others?
Well, what about all the others? You know, get our energy spokesman on and do a detailed, in-depth piece on it.
Well,
what I'm certain
we've had your deputy.
is that the Climate Change Act.
We've had your deputy. We've now got you, and you can't tell us what the green taxes will be. You've simply given me one. Okay. There's a whole list of them.
The large. Okay, all right. Okay, well, I've done the ROCs. Let's now do the Large Combustion Plant Directive. There's a very good example. There's a by-election about to be fought in Rochester and Strood. And on the Hoo Peninsula, there was, until last year, a very big coal-fired power station employing hundreds of local people, and that was closed down last year because of a Brussels directive. And we want to get rid of that.
Sure.
And the truth of it is, when you ask about energy policy, if you talk to any of the other parties, effectively, we gave up some years ago having our own energy policy. We're now doing what Brussels tells us to do, and we're facing a looming disaster where by the end of next year we'll be down to just 2% excess capacity within our system. It's yet another classic case of the Westminster class getting a really important policy. How can it be that since that time there has been a 48% growth in middle management within the National Health Service? How can it be that within the National Health Service 51% of people that work for it do not have any clinical qualifications
So should
whatsoever?
it be run by a businessman?
And what I want to see, what we want to see, what I want to see is the taxpayer getting value for money and the end user getting improved rates with heart, strokes and cancer care, because at the moment we're falling behind our neighbours.
So should it be run by a businessman?
Yes, it should be. I really think it should be, because what the Labour Party did was actually to contract much of the National Health Service out to private capital. The PFI initiatives on hospitals being a very good example. The outsourcing, of cleaning contracts and things like that. What we've done with the NHS, by proxy, we've privatised large parts of it to make, again, quite a lot of rich people richer, and I think we should have a National Health Service that runs itself, that doesn't outsource these services, and if a hard-nosed businessman can come into each hospital and make sure the thing runs more efficiently and we get more money spent on the end delivery, that surely would be a good thing. Right. Cameron's strategy is he's trying to kick this into the long grass. So if we believe what David Cameron says and support him, it'll be 3 years before we get that referendum. A referendum, incidentally, in which he will campaign, regardless, for us to remain a member. In those 3 years, given the current increase in immigration numbers to Britain, another 1 million people will have arrived. So I'm not prepared to wait for 3 years. I want us to have a referendum on this great question next year. And if UKIP can maintain its momentum and get enough seats in Westminster, we might just be able to achieve that.
The Labour Party will tell everybody that UKIP wants to privatise the NHS, that UKIP wants to charge you for GP appointments. What they don't tell you is that it's the Labour Party in government from 1997 that introduced the PFI deals on new build hospitals, which has cost the taxpayer in this country billions to the benefit of many private firms and investors. So let's fight the Labour Party back on the National Health Service. They've done more than anybody, to actually bring private money into the health service. And we don't care what colour or religion or where people come from. They must be here together in one Britain, together, equal before the law. If you vote UKIP, you will get UKIP.